say you're consistently like thirsty and someone just tells you to drink water. That's helpful, right? For the moment. But no one's taking the time to think about like, why have I been dehydrated for weeks?
What would you tell for people who are out here dating or they want relationship, they want partnership? What are 3 questions they should be asking in the dating process?
Everyone deserves to engage with a happy and healthy you, right? Like when I think about health and wellness, it's not like an individualistic thing, it's a community thing. A big thing I see with Black men is not recognizing when they're being treated poorly, like only for what they can provide tangibly.
Welcome to Vaughn Empowers Talks, where we don't just scratch the surface. We dive deep into the lives of some of the world's most influential change makers. I'm your host, Brandy Harvey. Y'all, my internet friend has come to join me today. She is my IG friend. Dr. Raquel Martin is a licensed clinical psychologist and an assistant professor at Tennessee State University, where she trains the next generation of culturally competent clinicians. Dr. Martin has been featured in Forbes and recognized by the Boris L. Henson Foundation as a mental health leader who is reshaping the way we talk about racial trauma, identity, and healing. With credentials that span across more than 20 states via SIPAC, Dr. Martin brings a unique blend of academic rigor, clinical expertise, and a real-world compassion. She's the creator of Burn the Cape, a transformative group program dismantling the toxic belief that strength requires silence, especially for Black women. Whether she's leading research on Black identity development or dropping truth bombs on Instagram, Dr. Martin shows up to disrupt, deconstruct, and deliver healing. Vaughn Empowers Talks welcome wife, mother, psychologist, professor, and disruptor, Dr. Raquel Martin, to the show.
Thank you. That sounded really good.
I mean, you know. hey, IG friend.
It's in person now. We saw each other too with those really good, what were they?
The spring rolls.
The spring rolls.
Yeah,
I think I texted you a week after,
you
like,
did.
girl, I'm
you
sitting here eating this yogurt thinking about them spring rolls. They were so good.
Listen, this is when IG friends that you meet on Instagram, right? That y'all are following each other, you connect on Instagram, and then you actually do a real in-person meetup.
Yeah, it's way more fun. That's what social media is supposed to be. You're actually supposed to connect. It's not just supposed to be like creepers and hot takes and stuff like that. Like, when it's good, you meet people. That's the whole point of it.
You meet people and you have great conversation over dinner. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to ask you too many questions. When I was at dinner, I was like, I mean, I got to save some of this for the interview. Like, I did say that. But I have to say, I mean, you just be having your way on Instagram.
Yeah, I kind of just like, okay, so, some people are content creators for like, that's their whole job. And I'm more so like a doctor who creates content. So I'm just going to do what I want to do. It's not like I'm not going to lose my license. I'm just sitting here giving free game. So I just talk about what I want to talk about. And if something irritates me, I'm going to talk about that too. And just keep it going.
Talk about the stuff that irritates you.
Misinformation, oversimplifications.
Yeah.
I don't like hot takes, foolishness. What else? People who don't state their actual credentials. Yeah. And then people just don't acknowledge that sometimes stuff just sucks, people will really oversimplify things and be like, just cut that person off. And I'm like, well, or not, like maybe just see how you can. We got to a point where people can't handle any realm of discomfort.
Yeah.
And they think for their mental health, it's like, oh, we'll just dip out on that person. And I'm like, oh, okay. So you think they're the problem when you're the problem.
Yeah.
So I can't stand that. People simplify stuff way too much. Mental health is gray. Like there's no black or white in it. My husband's an accountant, and his world is very much black or white, super chill. But like people are not that way.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many things. You give your take on quite a few videos that come across, that you come across online. One in particular, and this was one that I was like, ooh, I got to bring it up. There was an episode of the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Shout out to Latiris. He is a friend of the show. He's been on the show before. And there was a couple on his show that the woman said she was graced by God to really endure quite a bit of pain and suffering at the hands of her husband. She was ironing his clothes to go see his side chick.
Yeah, she was being abused. I don't know if she's still being abused, but everything she named in her scenario is a perfect example of like emotional abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when you did your breakdown of this, I mean, it sparked quite the conversation because even Lateris got in. You all ended up doing a live together.
Because okay, so you have platforms and people are sharing information, and his platform has a lot of individual, like a lot of believers and people who are looking for partnership and looking to this for an example. And when you have this kind of platform, you also think that the people that they bring onto the show are meant to be an example. Like, I'm bringing on individuals who are what you're looking for, like happy and healthy marriages. So to put this broad, like the significant example of emotional abuse, which was shrouded in like spiritual guidance and all that on such a huge platform, it was incredible. It was harmful. And I typically I go back and forth with like what I comment on because I have 2 children. Like I typically just post like a bunch of mental health stuff, but I miss out on stuff that's like live. But that one just kept coming up and like everyone kept sharing it. And I'm like, surely, you know how people share the worst clips. And I'm like, surely it's just a clip. It was the entire
interview. Because you said
thing.
You went and watched the whole episode.
Whole thing. I had to pause so many times.
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, we only got like 20 minutes left. We can do it. We can do this. It was really bad. It was the whole thing. It wasn't just a clip. Like, it wasn't just one of those moments where people chose like the worst thing. They chose one of the many bad things that was said during it.
Yeah. I really want to lean into this conversation because you talked about even like the people who tune into a show like that, they are looking for a Christian relationship. They're looking for a relationship that's kind of steeped in faith. And so I'm sure that with the people that you see in practice, you are coming across a lot of Black women who are, you know, they're held by quite a sum of beliefs that may be keeping them stuck, maybe keeping them stagnant, or maybe be keeping them in relationships that don't serve them.
Yeah, and I would say that's true for Black men too, right? Like, even a big thing I see with Black men is not recognizing when they're being treated poorly, like only for what they can provide tangibly. And then, not generally, but there are a lot of internalized beliefs for Black women about what they deserve that might be holding them back, lack of recognition. But the thing with difference with most of the Black men and Black women I've seen is we're more so allowed to show our emotions. We've had more time to think that it's healthy to process our emotions. But Black men, it's not that. Like, they're not allowed to have emotions, discuss them most of the time from childhood. So it's really difficult for them to even acknowledge that the emotions are present. And then to build a relationship with someone, and you have to have some aspect of vulnerability and transparency. It's like you're being asked to do something that's never been considered healthy or okay. For like Black men, it's like, okay, so I'm an adult now and you want me to share my emotions. But as like a Black man, I've never been told that that's okay. So I'm just supposed to know how to do it. It's like walking into intermediate French and then being surprised, like, what you mean you don't speak French? It's like, it's my first day. It's my first day.
Bonjour to the mom.
You know, like,
remember that episode of Different World?
They just start singing that, what's the Patti LaBelle song? I can tell you, this is it. Like,
voulez-vous coucher?
That's it. But that's kind of like the expectation. And it's tough because, like, and we're also dealing with Black people. So, like, we're in a relationship where many of us have been harmed by the other. And it's just like, I know we're still a community, but people just get rightfully, justifiably upset, and it just goes into this whole thing. And then when it comes to the church is such a big tenet. Like, spirituality and faith is such a big thing within the Black community that we look to these individuals as leaders. Like, we've always looked to individuals of faith as leaders in our homes and our communities in civil rights. So to see something so toxic put on such a huge platform, because that's a huge platform, like, very, very big. It's just like, people are going to think this is appropriate. Someone who's getting treated the same way is going to think, oh, well,
I was graced by God.
Yeah, like, maybe I need to tough it out. Someone who may have been considering leaving may think, well, that happened when they were in their 20s and they're in their 50s now, so maybe I just need to stick it out. Like, I understand everyone's not a clinician, but you got to have some sense now. Like, there's no way you thought that was okay.
Yeah. What are the things that you are seeing when you are encountering us from a cultural standpoint of Black people? Because you love Black people. You
I sure
treat
do.
Black people, baby. You blackity black,
All day.
black. Okay?
It's my favorite people. I like everybody else, but it's just not equal. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's okay. Just gonna be honest. You know? Like,
listen. So when you're seeing that, so many people coming in, I'm sure, sitting across from you, and they have these beliefs that have been a part of their, their upbringing. When we talk about disobedience, or when we talk about this long suffering, what are you seeing that you're like, hey, I want you to start rethinking and reframing these things?
I think that one of the best things about therapy is you get to like slow down and have someone on the outside actually show you that this is like an unhealthy thought process, or it's like a pattern. Because a lot of times we can be surrounded by individuals who are going through the same thing. So what's happening around us, like everyone who's having these thoughts about I'm only what I can provide, and it's okay to be treated poorly. Everyone's getting treated that way, so it's normalized. But normalized and healthy isn't the same thing, right? So like I think it's helpful to have someone who's objective, who can be on the outside looking in, who has no stake in the game. Like I'm really just a collaborator on helping you reach your goals. To be like, have you noticed a pattern when people try to get closer to you, all of a sudden like there's justification to never see them again? Or have you noticed, say, a lot of women come in with these thoughts that they need to keep going and going and going, even when it's like unsustainable striving, even though there's signs that like you're about to break down, and you still justify it. So like, do you have any appropriate examples of like individuals who didn't push through the pain, who didn't turn their pain into productivity, who didn't bottle things up? And it's just like, oh no, I've never had that. And it's just like all of the women in my family are like that. And I'm like, yeah, it's normalizing all the women in your family, but it's not healthy.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really helpful to be able to have someone to slow it down and try to do more of like root work. So I specialize in Black health and well-being, and I think a lot of times people will see clinicians and they maybe don't look like them, or they've been trained differently, and they do a lot of branch work, which I consider is just like, okay, so let's do some breathing exercises, let's do some journaling, which can get to the root at times. But the difference between branch work and root work is more so like, say you're consistently like thirsty and someone just tells you to drink water. That's helpful, right? For the moment. But no one's taking the time to think about like, why have I been dehydrated for weeks or months, right? Like you can't just drink the water. You also have to be like, well, let's also get to the reason why I was dehydrated in the first place. With the Black community, there's a lot of like internalized limiting beliefs. There's a lot of things that are normalized that are inappropriate. It's really hard for us to create a life for ourselves or healthy relationships that we haven't seen up close. So we're doing so much additional work, and then half the time it's not even being acknowledged. So we're still getting told to just like, oh, well, your peer over here was able to drink water and they were fine, so you should be able to drink water and be fine. And be like, right, my roots go like 10 times deeper, so that's why the water's not getting to where it needs to. Right. Just drink the water, like it'll be fine, right? So like most of the time we're upending just internalized beliefs that we see in media, or that we've seen from people, like, strong Black woman tropes, or Black men not showing emotions, they're weak, or even all the stuff in media about like men not showing up for their families and stuff like that. Like we ingest this stuff, and it's so always out there. It's so false.
I'm sitting up here like, I'm around Black dads every day.
I have more men in my life than women. Like I have two boys.
Black
my
men
husband
are showing up for their children. Like we have to stop this.
But it's intentional though, because we're not the ones creating the messages, but we are on the end of it, and we're the ones ingesting it, right? Like a lot of times I'll talk about limiting beliefs and internalized oppression and stuff like that, but it had to be injected first. Right. So you think about vaccines, vaccine gets injected into you and the vaccine is in your body. It's the same thing with all of these beliefs. It's the same thing with these stereotypes and tropes. Like they had to come from somewhere. It's not the fact that we have so many amazing messages and we go through past the amazing messages and we hold on to the negative one. They have been putting this out in media, in film, in cartoons, in books.
In medical journals.
Medical journals. Science has been used as a way to uphold all of these, this falsification of we have thicker skin and we feel painless, right? And that's been happening for generation and generation and generation. So in order for us to get to a healthier place, it takes so much more. Like we have to be more intentional about it. We didn't have to be, these messages came at us from all ends. We have to avoid them, but we have to be intentional about building things that disparage that. So most of the time I'm working on like it's way more deep work. Like where did the messages come from? When was the first time you noticed that you thought that rest was guilty? When was the first time you thought that you deserved less just simply because of, I don't know, the way you looked or the fact that your skin was darker? When's the first time you felt that your hair, the way it grew out of your head, wasn't professional? When's the first time you believed that like if you are vulnerable with someone, they're gonna leave you? Like you really have to get to the root of it, or you're just drinking water. Like it's not gonna do anything. You're gonna be thirsty tomorrow.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, well, maybe I also need to do other things to be less dehydrated, and then I won't have to have 27,000 ounces a day. But it's a lot more root work when it's working with Black people, because we don't realize how much we take in.
I mean, I want you to go back because you said something that really stuck out to me. You said the pain, we have repackaged pain as purpose
Yeah, and productivity.
and productivity.
Yeah.
Pain and productivity. And I think so many of us have adapted to that belief that I just keep going.
Yeah.
And if I don't do it, no, it's not going to get done. And who's going to actually do it? I got to be the one.
Yeah.
And now that pain is fueling, well, look at how busy I am. I have so much on my calendar. I have so much to do. And we're really dying on the inside.
We are, because the thing is, we're very good at adapting. And this isn't a bad thing. Like, this, it's not the fact that, like, stress is the silent killer. It's not that, because, you know, everything, it's never been silent. We silence it. Like, you silence the back pain, you silence the exhaustion, you silence the negative thoughts. You just adapt it because you think you have to keep moving. And you think that there's going to be just this light at the end of the tunnel. And most of the time I tell my clients, because I can't be serious for more than 10 minutes, I tell my clients, like, yeah, maybe that light at the end of the tunnel is a train. Maybe it is a train. Maybe it could be the sun, but also it could be a train. You know, you get to the end and you keep thinking, like, the next, I'll celebrate after this, or I'll rest after this, or I have to earn that rest. And then it never comes. And then you get that goal and it's not fulfilling. Or you add something else. It's really hard for us to acknowledge our wins because we just be like, oh, I was supposed to achieve that. Or you push the goalpost back. Like, we're very good at adapting. And when you overwork and you turn that pain into productivity and you ignore it, it's easier to miss out on the signs that things are going wrong. There's a reason why Black women are more, 80, 60, 70% more likely to have autoimmune disorders, which is literally the body attacking itself.
Yeah.
You know?
They call it the caretaker, like, disease. When I was talking with Gary Brecka, like, because it's affected most caretakers.
Yeah.
Caregivers are affected by autoimmune disease because they're outpouring to everybody else.
And it's like when people say, like, who else is going to do it? I don't know. Maybe someone else will learn how to do it.
Doc.
Maybe it won't get done. But, like, there are times when it's just like, well, nobody else can do it. And that means it's not getting done because I'm not going to do it. Or someone else can learn how to do it. But it's also, how many times do we also kind of make this environment perfect for that, right? Like, I've worked with parents and we talk about default parenting, right? When, like, it's just like, a lot of times the mom is the default parent. Like, she's the first call, she's all this. And I'm like, okay, well, what if you let your partner do it? Well, they're going to do it wrong. Okay. What if you let them call the number? Well, they're not going to know where to find it. All right. What if you let them make the lunch? Well, they're not going to know what they like. Right. So you just like this. You just like being the only person, right? Like, that's how you get into the default parenting role versus being like, for my boys, I always call it the big one and the little one. I got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. I'm responsible for getting the big one to and from school and all his medical appointments. My husband is responsible for the little one and getting all his medical appointments. We have a shared calendar. So at any time, either one of us can look at this calendar and see who's the doctor, all of that. If somebody is calling me at school and I'm busy, the secondary call is my husband. I even say, if you can't reach me, call my husband. That's the other number on there. Maybe he doesn't make dinner the exact way that I want, but they ate.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
It's when we have to think about the way we do things. Like, okay, so no one else is going to do it. They're not going to do it the way I want it done. It's just not going to get done. Right? Like, we're holding on to the range and then we wonder why no one asks to help. And it's just like, well, last time I asked you I asked to help you pop me.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I thought you had it.
It's very typical. And it's just pain repurposed because it also lets you avoid all of the issues. If you're working to the point of being exhausted, you don't realize how many negative beliefs you have during the day. You don't realize you don't have anything outside of work. I've also found that for a lot of people, overworking and doing all that stuff in work, sometimes you feel like it's the only thing you're good at, right? Like, you may not have other relationships, you may not have other hobbies, your family may be crumbling, but at work, you know you're good. Like, you know you get to complete the tasks, you're consistently getting praised, so you focus on this one environment instead of trying to build up the other ones. And I think that's pretty typical. Like, as a mom, there were times when I'm just like, man, I ain't doing nothing right, but I can go on a stage, wonderful. Well, we love you, that's fantastic. I go home, pancakes again. It's like, where's my bag? Somebody gonna put me on a stage. I'm getting out of here. You know what I'm saying? But, like, it's understandable that sometimes you feel like the work is the only environment that you do well at. So you lean into that instead of trying to improve other aspects of yourself. And that's just a trap because you should be caring for yourself first.
I mean, I know everybody who's listening is either seeing themselves in this conversation or someone close to them that they know, right? Because I know, shout out to my mother, Marcia, because she is the queen of, I got to do it.
My mother as well. And I said,
Yeah.
this ends with me. Because I can't do it.
Doc,
I don't want to do it. I
Doc,
don't want to. I don't want this.
I said the same thing. I was like, oh, hell nah. I'm like,
No
my
interest in
grandmother
this,
got
ma'am.
her running on 2 wheels half the time, you know, because she is a caretaker for my grandmother. So she is, you know, making sure her clothes get washed, her this and that happen
Yeah.
at the house, managing if she has any projects at the house, all of these different things. And it's like, well, why can't somebody else? Like, why can't you just let, well, Chris can't do it. You know, her brother, my uncle. And I'm just like, you don't let him try.
Yeah.
You don't let him try to do it.
I have no interest.
Yeah.
I want to kick it. I don't like it. It'll be so many times when people will be like, oh, you know, I used to get all the time, oh, is your husband okay with the children? Couldn't tell you. I haven't called. I've been gone for days. I'm assuming. And then if there's an emergency, I mean, I'm not the Avengers. You should probably take him to the hospital. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, you mean tell me the other person only other person who probably loves them as much as me, I'm not supposed to trust them with this person, with their children?
Yeah.
I don't know. And it was hard to get to that place anyway. I would literally be backing out for like, he's like, you need a break, crying. But I would just back up and cry in the I would still go. Like, people who feel guilty about resting, feel guilty, still do it.
Yeah.
I used to just be like, I shouldn't be leaving my children. I cried for like 5 minutes, and then it got to 4, and then it got to 3, and then I was running out the door, forgetting my shoes. You know, like, you can still do it when you feel guilty in the first place. Like, I think there's this thing of us just not really knowing how to deal with the discomfort. It's like, oh, yeah, I feel bad about it, but everyone deserves to engage with a happy and healthy you, right? Like, when I think about health and wellness, it's not like an individualistic thing. It's a community thing.
Yeah.
No one should have to deal with me when I'm tired or when I'm hungry or when I'm irritated. I don't want that for you. It's best for all those involved.
Everybody.
So, like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Let me go out and take 10, 15 minutes. And I think that's what people forget. And then you have individuals who don't understand that, like, irritability that they wake up with is actually like either depression or anxiety, or you're just significantly unhappy. They think it's their personality trait. Like, I'm always irritable. And it's like, that's not true.
Yeah.
Like, none of us operate that way. You're not caring for yourself. And this is the way it's coming out.
Yeah. Some of y'all celibate and don't need to be. How about that?
What? How do we get...
I don't know. It just felt like the time to say it. Some of y'all irritable because it's a phase you need to release, okay?
Well, I will also say, I told one of my younger clients, I was like, you need to eat some fiber and drink some water, because I genuinely think that your stomach hurt, because you just always irritable. You eat trash. Some of y'all also
full
need
of
some
shit.
fiber.
Yeah, because you're full of shit.
Because I used to be like, are you okay?
No, full
when
of
the
shit.
last time you had a banana? You know, like, you just, all I hear is Takis. And I'm just like, that's why you just go sit out, drink some water, girl. I think you just a little stopped up. There's something wrong with you. I'm just like, what is wrong, man? Like, listen.
I mean, I really want you, because you talked about your son, you talked about your husband, and even when you and I went out to dinner, I love the conversation of how you met your husband.
Yeah.
And these two boys that are like bundles of joy for you.
Yeah, they super rough though.
Yeah,
like,
they be lit.
Yeah.
Yeah, your kids be lit.
No limit soldiers, man.
They are. They in the background in the video. She doing a video. You can hear them talking in the background.
And I'll be like, Mom.
Yeah.
Like, she's not listening.
But you talked at dinner, which I was like, okay, we got to discuss this on the show.
Yeah.
Because you talked a lot about the cultural norms that we have been used to. And we say, oh, I turned out fine. You know?
Yeah. I hate that term. Because half the time the person telling you, trash.
Yeah.
You know, like, I turned out fine. I randomly attack people online, and, I haven't been in a good relationship since the 1900s, but I'm fine. And it's just like, right. I can see that. You screaming at me right now. It's totally normal.
Because you said you do not scream at your children, you do not yell at your children, you do not cuss at your children.
No.
You do not hit your children.
No. Well, and I try really hard not to raise my voice. I definitely raised my voice this week. But in my defense, they lost their minds. And honestly, I work on it every single day, because I also apologize to my children. So it's even more, it's more annoying to me when I raise my voice, because I'm like, now I gotta apologize. Because that's not the kind of family we are.
Carly is so good. My sister's so good at apologizing.
Yeah.
Because
I want them to understand that, like, everyone makes mistakes. Like,
Yeah.
So when we get into this realm of, and this is also like with therapy and psychology, you have people who will be like, they're perfectionists, or they just really struggle with like attachment and stuff like that. And perfectionism is just anxiety. Like, it's just a fear. And when you get to the root of it, that's the only way that you can break it down. You kind of got to get to the fears. Like, oh, I want this assignment to be perfect. Oh, why? Oh, because I want to do a good job. Oh, okay. Good job and perfect aren't the same, but continue. Like, what happens if it's not perfect? Well, then maybe you'll say somebody will say something negative. Okay, whatever. And then what does that mean? Well, then maybe they'll think I don't belong here. Belong at the job. It's like, oh yeah. And a lot of times with Black people, it's like, yeah, I'm like the only Black person. Oh, okay. So your fear is like the age-old stereotype that like somebody just gave you this job and stuff like that. That's why you think it has to be perfect. So it's not actually like you want it to be good. You just don't want anyone to think that you don't deserve to be there. That's the root, right? And if you don't address the stereotypes that contribute to that thought, it doesn't matter if it's perfect. And also, perfection is not humanity, right? Like, it's another way of dehumanizing Black people. So if we operate in a world where children, especially Black children, understand that everybody makes mistakes, even grown-ups, and no one has the right to like treat you poorly. Like, I want them to be so steeped in like accountability and compassion, that anytime they go into an environment where it's not that, their signal goes off, right? Because that's all we're doing is like, we're building their little like alarm system. So if they're in a system where people raise their voice, they're like, oh, my mom don't talk to me like this. You must have lost your mind.
Yeah.
No, I can't. I'm not going to take this job. Or where people aren't accountable for their actions. Like, what you mean you don't have to apologize just because you the boss? No, that's my mom apologized to me. You're just building their little alarm systems. And also raising your voice, it just seems unnecessary. It just seems unnecessary. And this is from like East Coaster. I'm a very aggressive person. And like even with me, like I'm a loud person anyway. Like my husband is from down south and he's like very, at one point I think he was just like, you always this loud? I sure am. I sure am. What? You know? But like, it's just not necessary. And also it freaks them out.
Yeah, it does.
They get scared, and like that's the last thing I want. And they start to shrink, and they have less of their voice. And once again, like we need to build their alarm system, and especially when it comes to Black youth, they have to get used to being able to advocate for themselves, because Black youth get challenged and pushed and treated differently than anybody else. Yeah. And I want them to understand that like nobody has the right to treat you wrong. Like a lot of times Black parents will do this operation of like, the world is tough, so I'm going to be tougher. Yeah. And I always say like, oh, the world is tough, so I'm going to be a safe space to land for my children. Because if it's one thing that every Black person can agree, it's the fact that we don't get treated the way that we should be treated. Yeah. So why would we mirror that in our homes? You know, like, so it's just, it's a lot of us were parented out of obedience. And I parent out of respect, right? Like obedience builds relationship. Obedience builds resentment. It's compliance, you know? Respect builds relationships, but it's exhausting. You know, you raise a child and you let them know that their voice matters. You never gonna not hear that voice.
Oh, baby.
You always gonna hear that voice.
Yeah, I see that with my nephew.
My God. I'll be like,
he has a voice and baby, he gonna use it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Like and it's easier, right? Like it's not difficult to make children like comply. It's not difficult to make children fear you. It's not really hard. We're bigger than them. They depend on us for everything. Wow. Really, people will be like the whole, I don't know if they call it gentle parenting. I just treat my children like humans. But they'll be like, that's weak. But it's just like, well, no. You think it's weak to be hearing questions 27,000 times a day? Or you think it's weaker to like as soon as you get frustrated, tell your child to shut up and pop them. Like, it's more so your regulation, right? Children are supposed to be inquisitive. They're supposed to ask questions. They're supposed to be annoying. It just is. You know, they're amazing, but they're also irritating. That's just life. You know, children are annoying. People are annoying. I'm sure I annoy my husband. He better not ever tell me. I'm sure I annoy him. Like, people are just, that's what it's like being in community with other people. Like, you have to have some kind of frustration tolerance. But like the goal of parenting is like you regulate yourself and then you co-regulate your child. People are hitting their children because their children are loud and you can't take a breath and calm down with them. So you pop them and then you just end up being fearful of them. But ultimately it's because you probably had a bad day. That's a you thing. Or your child is like selfish. Children are egocentric. Like, what else are they going to be? Or they won't stop hitting their siblings. So you hit them. You know, like every time I'll be like, just to confirm. They were hitting someone else, correct? Yes. So you hit them and said, don't hit. Right.
when you say
You
it
hear
out
it,
loud, right?
I
When
be
you say it
like,
out loud.
right,
Yeah.
right, yes. So we will have to look into delusions for you because that's just absurd, man. I'd be like, right, and you're mad because they're too loud, right? And you screamed at them to be quiet, correct? Cool, cool, cool. It's totally reasonable. I can't imagine they're modeling your behavior. It's just absurd. So
It
like,
really is.
but it does take more. Like I told people it is easier to pop them and stuff like that. But I really want my children to have like a voice and to understand that they can advocate for themselves. And we're going to be their most salient relationship. So if they can go toe to toe with me and not rudely, but like asking questions, then they can do that with anyone because we're not going to be with them. Like, so I really think we need to think about, it's parenting out of respect. And that's how we end up being in community with each other too. So like people get parented, they can't express themselves, they hold it all in. It starts from childhood. That's why some of us have issues in the first place. But no, it's exhausting. They don't stop talking. It's crazy. Like they question stuff that I would never. Like one time we were at a store and my son was like, oh, do they have cars here? And I'm like, oh, I don't think they have cars here. And he's like, oh, okay. I'm going to ask the person who works here if they have cars here. And I'm like, oh, okay, you're right. I don't work here. But let me tell you something. If my grandma had told me they had no cars there, that's it.
That's the final stop.
Right?
That's
versus me being like, yeah, that's a good point. I don't work here.
Yeah.
And we should all get their boys. We should all get young men. I don't want to, generalize. But sometimes people have difficulty asking for directions or asking for help. I also want them to get used to being able to ask for help and it not being like the end of the world. Because our thing is like, if you don't have a question, if you don't know the answer to something, ask. Instead of just like making a mistake. We got a bunch of stuff in the house. If you don't know the answer to some question, the answer, ask. We always have to ask questions. You have to try first. And you can't always win, but you can always have fun. So like everything's a choice, right? Like some things are, I always say like, stop giving me answers when I didn't ask you a question. Like if I just told you to do something and it's just like, oh, well, I was thinking, oh, I didn't ask you a question. I said you needed to pick that up. Like,
I was given a direct.
Did that seem like I had a question mark? No, cool, just do it, right? But some things will be choices, right? So it's like everything is you may not want to go, we're still going, but you can choose to have fun or you could choose to be grumpy. But either way, I need you in the car in 5 minutes.
Yeah. I love that. I think too when we were having a conversation before, one of the things you said, you and your husband give each other the out, right? Of like being able to take a break. Like he's like,
we call it tap out.
Yeah.
Like we literally be like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like I've met my limit on this child. Yeah.
I don't think that sometimes women understand that they can have that if they're in a partnership with someone or in a marriage relationship, you're co-parenting, they may not feel like they have that ability to tap out.
And with that, I'm like, so what's the point of this person being here, right? Because, I mean, we're all pretty fully functioning people. I can do many things by myself. I have no interest in it, right? So, like, if you're not going to contribute to, like, making my life easier, because that's, to me, it's great to have somebody there with you in a relationship. But honestly, the goal is for you to make my life easier. That's it. Like whether it's making my life easier because you listen to me and I feel like I have a sounding board, whether it's making my life easier because I wash the dishes and you dry them, or I cook and you grill, whether it's making my life easier because I don't have to be on the clock with the boys all the time. That's the whole purpose of a relationship is to contribute to like to build a partnership and build skills together. So if I don't get that in a relationship, I mean, I could do this by myself, you know, and then also like have 1 week on, have 1 week off, make more money, hire a nanny. I mean, what's the point? If it doesn't contribute, I just find no purpose to it. Like, and always being very open about that. When me and my husband were dating, mind you, we've been together forever. I was very intentional about like talking about everything. We talked about kids before we were together for a couple of years. Like we've been together for, I'm 36. We've been together since I was 20. Got married 7 years in. He took forever. Anytime, listen, I will never let it go. I don't care. I know you're rolling your eyes. I don't care. It's crazy.
You said this at dinner.
I did.
You said, Brandy, he took forever.
It just brings me back. Like, are you okay? It was that whole man thing of, well, we got, I got to make sure I have things situated. We about to buy a mansion? Like, what are you talking about? We live in a nice apartment. Calm down. Just give me my ring. Like, it's just so, and that's the way they're brought up though, right? Like, you got to make sure you.
Yeah. You say he took forever, but
7 years.
he's been a stand-up guy
Oh,
the
yeah,
entire
that's
time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's
adore
been
him.
a stand-up guy.
I'm still allowed to be mad though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that you all tap out. Like, you basically like, look, I can't. I gotta. And you all tell each other too, like, you need to take a minute. You need to go
Yeah,
off.
because our thresholds are different for different things too. Like sometimes Brandon just they'll be crying. He'd be like, "Oh, have they been crying for 20 minutes?" I don't know what it is. It's just like, and plus as women, our bodies like respond to it. Like at one point I'd be like, my heart rate is increasing. Like in the beginning, I'm cool with it now. They cry, I'd be like, sounds like you're having a tough moment. Let me know if I can help.
Yeah, it sounded like Nelly and Ashanti.
Well, no, because my husband helps. That's crazy. And you know what? Whatever works for you. Whatever works for you. I don't know if that does work for you. I can't imagine, but I don't have any openings, so. But like, I can't imagine because but no, so for him, I don't know what it is for him. Maybe like constant asking questions. He's not a ridiculous talker, but he also married a talker who produced 2 talkers.
Yeah, and
so that man's fighting for his life.
Yeah, an accountant is not gonna be doing too much talking.
Nah.
Yeah.
So like that for him, like sometimes versus me, I'll be like, I don't know at 2 a.m. I don't know. Let's see tomorrow what the answer is. I love it. Right. So that might be it for him. For me, they're a little rough. So there's that. And there are times when I just want to read. I really just like reading. When you walked into the waiting room, I was reading. I really just want to read. So sometimes
I rolled up on you reading a book. You were like, when you were in the Uber coming to me for dinner, you were like, it gives me a chance to read my book.
It does.
Like,
I really just want to read.
Yeah.
I literally get to, my job is being smart. So I want to do good at my job. You know? So like sometimes it's just like taking a moment back. When it comes to that, but we kind of just like tap out and he'll just say when he needs a moment, which is rare. Thank goodness. Versus me being like, yeah, I know I needed a moment 10 minutes ago. I still need another moment and not feeling guilty for that and not feeling like I'm being judged for that, especially as a mom, because like we get a lot of messages about parenthood. And I think it used to be my fear that he would be like, oh, just not the best mom. But he would just be like, man, if you need a minute, take 10. Ain't got nothing, like, leave. They're insane. I totally get it, So just being with someone who honestly makes it easier so I can enjoy being a parent in the way that I'm a parent, because I do think it's different than, I don't know, maybe some other people do it. Like people are really like, oh, you just told him you wanted to leave? Oh yeah, I'm in a car. I sent him a text like, hey, I'm out. Like, I don't know what's going on, but they've been tripping all day.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I feel you. Well, let me know when you get back, and being open. That's not every 5 seconds, but feeling comfortable enough to say I need a minute and not thinking it makes me look like a bad mother. That's kind of like everything, there's relationships supposed to make it easier for you. If it's not making it easier for you, dip. And that's doctor's orders. Like, that's the whole point, because you could be alone. Once you get to know yourself well, it's amazing. Like, being alone. We were talking about you love your place. It's got to be, somebody has to be quality.
I mean,
to get you out of the home that you have, like, built.
Top tier.
You, like, and that's what the standard should be. And I think that's why some people struggle in relationships, because women are also able to take more time to build themselves. It's normalized. I think men are doing this more now too. But like, they'll think that they're being expected to, I'm expected to provide you with the same lifestyle you provide yourself. I don't think that's always the case, but you are expected. You kind of got to contribute in some way, because I'm already a whole person. Yeah. So like, what are you doing for me, and what am I doing for you to improve, like to make our lives better? And that's not always money. It could also be like, I know I can come home and just breathe. Like, I've been working all day, and like, we can just be chill. It's not always money, but I think it's tough because women do get more allowances to like build and acknowledge their emotions. And there's this whole thing now about like men and what do they call it? Like the age of loneliness. And now if you have so many people who are able to like provide for themselves, you got to bring more than money. Like, I got money. This condo mine. You know, like you came in, you see those artisanal, those Egyptian sheets. You see those? I bought them myself. So what you bringing to me emotionally? Because I got cash. Like, we can always do cash, but like, can I talk to you about my fears? Can we grow as people? Are you going to be able to think about long-term relationships? Are you going to be there to be able to walk me through the grief of like losing relatives? Yeah. Are you going to be able to be there, the grief of losing friendships? Are you going to be able to be here for me? It has to be more than money. Because if you're talking about long-term relationships, we're getting older. This is the person who's going to be able to have to walk you through everything. Yeah. Childbirth, which is, if you want children, which is intense. Jobs, racism, public policy, ozone layer. I don't know, but like, maybe they don't send you flowers every week, but do they have integrity? Like, that's kind of the stuff you really got to, like, focus on. Because me and my husband are very different, but value-wise, same values on certain things. He does say I'm pretty radical when it comes to a lot of things. But he's also from down south and I'm from Philly. You know, like, I'm different. Normal Philly. He's normal Nashville. Like, it's just like, you know, you could always, I'm a burn it down person.
So when we look at family, what are some questions that any parent could have in their arsenal that they could ask on a daily, a weekly, kind of monthly check-in with their children or their family, their spouse? What are some of those questions that are like tools that can really help sharpen their toolkit?
Ooh, I always ask my son, like, what made you laugh today? Like, what made you laugh today? And sometimes he'll say nothing. And then I'll say something that made me laugh today, and then we'll get into that. What's something new you learned? Which is a pretty cool thing, because that's one of the cool things about parenting. Like, you're literally watching them learn something new for the first time. The first time my oldest learned how to do the peace sign, and he does it in, like, every picture because it's, like, a new skill. But it's so weird just knowing that, like, at one point he didn't know how to do this with his hands, so he does it in everything. What's something that made you laugh? What's something new that you learned today? What's what is it? I like to do the peak and the pit of the day. Like, what was the
peak and the pit?
Yeah, the peak and the pit. Like, what was the high point of the day? What was the low point of the day? And then honestly, sometimes I'll just sit with him and do stuff, and he'll just talk. Right? I think one of the struggles with being a parent, and my mom used to do this all the time. Everything was a lesson. My God. Yeah. Like, oh, you know, you better. It's this joke with Black people, like, you better depress them dishes. My God. You know, like, oh my goodness, bro. Like, everything does not have to be a lesson. Sometimes I'll just do activities with him. Like, he likes coloring, so, like, I'll sit at the table and color with him, and he'll just talk about stuff, or we'll do Legos and stuff. And I think that's even harder for Black families because we have, like, pay gaps, and we're over here working significantly harder, and we're providing the space for the children to have the house and to have the things, and we don't get to spend as much time with them. And they don't see it as us providing them with that space. At one point, my son was like, we didn't have milk, and he was like, oh, can we, you know, get milk? And I was like, oh, no, I'm not going to the store, it's late. And he said, well, can't you just order the milk to come to the house? And I said, I can't just do anything, but also, like, you know, I'm not, you know, it's like, I'm not going to order a thing of milk, you know, just to do that. And he's like, well, just use the money card. And I said, just what? Are you okay? Like, what are you talking about? But it's also, part of that was on me because I do just, like, I never talk to him. I don't talk to him as much about money. I just swipe the card. But the fact that he, you know,
he's
just
like, use the card. Yeah.
Just use the card. Like, I think we forget that they don't really realize how much we do to, like, provide them with that space. But a lot of times it's not even just about, like, asking them things. It's really just, like, doing the things that they enjoy, even if you don't enjoy them. Like, even if they're not fun. Like, I don't think you have to play 50 minutes out the day or anything like that. If I don't want to do something, I will tell my son, like, I don't want to. Like, if I've colored for 20 minutes, I'm out. You know, like, oh, I want you to do more. And it's like, I'll do more tomorrow, but now I want to read. And I also want him to get accustomed to, like, it's not my job, especially since, you know, he's a boy. I feel a certain, you know, we all dated that guy who was a butthead. My biggest fear is that someone will date my boys and be like, who raised you? Because everyone's had that moment when you have dated someone and been like, who is your mother? Like, how did she raise such an awful person? Because you can't be the mom to be like, oh, well, I ain't raised my child that way. Well, who did? I would love to talk to them. He's a monster, you know? So, like, that's, like, my biggest fear. So some of the things are very particular about, like, I want him to understand that, like, if I don't want to do something, you know, I shouldn't just have to stop because of your comfort, right? I want him to understand that, like, everything isn't going to be about you. Like, oh, you want to keep playing? I don't want to. And normalize that. But it's also about just, like, spending time with them, seeing the stuff that they like. You don't have to enjoy it 1,000%, but, like, it creates a space for them to just, like, talk. Because some of the children actually are not. I think there is a decrease in communication. Not in my house, but we also talk a lot in our house. But I think you have to think about it as, like, it doesn't always have to be a lesson. Just be there with them. And then when they randomly talk, you know, don't make eye contact, you know, because then they'll know that they're doing something well. You know, you just be like, right, cool. And, you know, and then you call your family and be like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
He told me about his day. I didn't even have to ask. Yeah. Coincidentally, I do think there's something going, you know, I think something wrong in that school. But, like,
good for him.
Good for you. Yeah. So just be with them. Do some fun stuff with them.
You're a professor at TSU, at Tennessee State.
Yeah.
And so, although your children are not Gen Z, you work with Gen Z.
Yeah. What are they, beta?
So your students though are Gen Z.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your students are Gen Z.
They're intense. I
Yeah.
love them. Yeah.
So I want you to talk, because there's so many parents who are trying to communicate. They trying to learn all the hand movements. They trying to
Don't waste
learn.
your time. They change them every day.
They trying to learn the new text,
Yep.
little message shortenings.
Mhm.
They trying to learn all the new everything.
I don't do
trying
any of
to
that.
keep up.
No, my students call me old openly. And one thing I will say, and mind you, I'm like one of the youngest faculty members, which is insane. They're getting older, so they do have to learn, like, you know, the way they communicate. But that's something all of us had. For example, I think I told you the story about, like, there was something that they named, and I didn't know what it was. And I didn't know if it was a band or like a clothing thing. And I was like, oh, is that like a band? And they was like, oh my God, come on, Dr. Martin. And one of my favorite students, she was like, come on, y'all know she old. Y'all have to explain stuff to her. She don't know. She's old. And I was like, exactly, I am old. So just explain it to me. Now, could you do that? You can't do that with other people. Because they would be like, you know, you got to learn how to talk to people and stuff. And I'm just like, well, I'm just going to focus on the fact that we have open communication instead of the fact that you just viscerally insulted me. And I'm just going to like the fact that you can communicate with me. But like, a lot of times people will state that like they don't talk. I've never had that issue. I try to make it like a receptive space. Like I always have snacks in my office. I also don't make everything a lesson. Some things do have to be a lesson. The number of times I have to talk about substance use is absurd because they have way more access to it. So even something as simple as like, you know, you guys all know the rules with like, you know, the impact of substances. I was like, I don't need to repeat that to you, but I will need to tell you, like, you need to know who you getting stuff from. Like, a lot of people literally having a conversation, like, you know, people lace their stuff, right? So, like, you just met someone, it's a substance you use all the time, but you use that substance from someone you just met.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be an after-school special because you know the effects of it, but, like, don't smoke with everybody. Like, also, people have germs. You know how much saliva goes on? They don't really roll up their stuff anymore, but you know how much saliva goes into that thing?
Yeah.
And that man around there don't even brush his, they don't even use mouthwash. COVID. I'm like, y'all, COVID. You know, like, so trying to like meet them on their level and have conversations with them and letting them know that their voice matters. And, you know, trying to take deep breaths through when they say something so absurd. I'm like, that sounds really dangerous. I'll come back to that. Like, no, like maybe don't get in the car with someone who you were just doing shots with in their behind. You know, but like, right, that party sounds fun. That's what's up. So just to go back, how many shots did said person have before you got into the car? Cool. So here's my number just in case you need a ride somewhere. And I always let my students know, like, you know, you have my cell phone number. Your parents don't have to be the first call, but they will be the second, you know, like, I'm not going to hide anything. But no, I love them. They're so extreme. Everything's like the end of the world.
It feels like that it's hilarious. With this new generation.
Everything's the end of the... But when you think about it, though, aren't a lot of things the end of the world, though? Like, in their minds. Like, think about how wide their world is.
Yeah.
Like,
but do you consider them the anxious generation that they have been dubbed?
Okay. Here's the thing. I think when it comes to like a good chunk of studies, I would have to double check to see like what the disparity is between like European American children versus like Black children in terms of the data with that, because we are not reared the same, right? Like one of the things of the tenets of the anxious generation is the fact that like, you know, a lot of parents don't know the difference between discomfort and danger. So they accommodate a lot of things with their children. Yeah. Right. It being a parent is the most like it's the most amazing anxiety producing thing in the world. Like I told my husband, I was like, man, I used to do shots of 99 berries on the yard, and now I'm over here investigating microplastics in my cutting board. Like lame. You know what I'm saying? Like this, and I'm just like, I just don't want them to have. We got to get stainless steel stuff, you know. And I'm like, dude, like I'm over here. I didn't look at the ingredients in the 99 berries before I like went to the party on the yard. Right. I'm just knocking them back. And now I'm just like, well, technically, this is organic.
And then this is food dye, yellow number 6, red number 8.
I used to eat hot
blue
Cheetos.
Number 4, yeah.
You know, like so it is very anxiety producing bringing a person into the world. But you have to understand that difference between discomfort and danger, because it's not my job to remove discomfort from my children. It's my job to provide them with the skills and the capabilities to know that they can handle it and kind of like work with them and co-regulate them so they understand it. And I think the anxious generation, one aspect of it It's the fact that like a lot of people are removing discomfort from their children so they don't really get to experience certain things. And because of that, a lot of scenarios make them uncomfortable. Does that sound like a lot of Black families though?
Yeah.
Like, so like I would have to look at but a lot of times people are like, oh, because they don't really get the opportunity to care for themselves. And a lot of them aren't doing chores and a lot of them aren't, and I'm just like, I never met a Black child who didn't have chores in my life.
Listen,
like I've never met that person.
That is the prerequisite to go out on Saturday.
Listen, Saturday morning, I woke up to Anita Baker.
Yeah.
To this day, I hear Anita Baker. I'll be looking for Pine Sol. Like it's trained in my brain. Like, so a lot of times when people are like quoting that stuff, I'm just like, yeah, I would love to see, because it's based in data. I would love to see the data on like if we're also looking at Black families, because also like we rear our children differently. To a good thing, and there's also the aspect of like the world is tough. So I'm going to be tougher. So a lot of them, they don't have freedoms and they don't get to be creative. And, the biggest fear is, a lot of us are parenting out of racism-related stress. We have a fear that like one mistake will be the end for them versus other households. They literally think that the police are there to protect them because they are. And they know that one mistake won't be the end of their well-being, because it likely won't. And so we do parent differently. But most of the time, I think our issue is not really, I think our anxieties for the children might be different. Like, I actually think they need a bit more freedoms. I ask a lot of clients like to be like, did the child do it wrong or did they just do it differently? When they have like frustrations about the way a child has done something. Like one time my son was like, I was like, oh, clean the room before we head out. And he was like, okay, well, he said, why? And I was like, oh, I want the room to be clean today. And he was just like, oh, can we clean it when we get back? And I'm like, I mean, that means we could leave earlier. And like, that also means I wouldn't have to clean, because when he cleaning, I'm cleaning. So I'm like, man, that means I could also get out of cleaning. I mean, you gonna do it when we get back though, like deal. Like, yeah, I'll do it when we get back. He did too. And it's just like, cool. We dipped, right? But like, how many people, it's not wrong. It's just like, just clean the room. I just don't want the house to be a mess. I think our thing is more so pulling back in and asking ourselves, did they do it different versus did they do it wrong? Am I parenting out of racism-related fear, which could also be making them anxious? Because a lot of times you'll have people, you're extra strict on the children, but we're not even explaining why. And sometimes they'll end up doubting themselves, thinking their parents don't trust them. When in all actuality, I don't trust the world to see you as a child, like, because they don't see you as children. I don't trust the world to protect you, because they don't. So I think if we're creating like an anxious generation within the Black community, I think it's more so because we're not talking to our children as much, because also that's not how we were brought up. Like, it's very hard to create a reality that we didn't see up close. I think we're also not centering like our culture and stuff in terms of, they see so many negative messages about being Black. Do we counteract that with positivity in the house? Or are we also giving negative messages in the house? Like, you're not going to be looked at the same. You got to watch this person. If something goes missing, they're going to be the first one to ask you if it was you. That might be true, but are we counteracting it with like culture and pride and support? So I think we may be creating an anxious generation when it comes to Black youth, but I think it's because we're parenting out of racism-related stress, and it's harder for us to create something that we haven't seen, and we have to be more intentional about affirming them. And not just affirming them as children, but affirming them as Black children. Like, we are we the sauce. There's a reason why we're our faves. It's hard not to, like, even if I wasn't Black, I'm sure we would still be the favorite. There's no way to confirm that, but so I think we have to be more intentional about like actually speaking power into our children, because there's so many environments that are speaking negativity into them, and a lot of times we're not counteracting it. And also acknowledging that like it may not take a ridiculous amount of time and energy. I'm super busy and I just have to be intentional with it. But we have to think about all of the negative messages that they get. Are we counteracting those in our house, or are we kind of just, the world is tough, so I'm going to be tougher for them, like in the first place? So maybe, but I don't think it's the same reasoning, because I don't know a Black child who ain't wake up. Saturday is like the thing. Like, you want to go out, what, at 3? You better clean these dishes.
You got to clean
It's
up.
Saturday. What you thought you was going to do? You better not touch that TV.
Thank God for a twin, because we could, we had our assignments. Like, I do the bathroom, she do the living. Like, we got this. Listen, we trying to go out tonight. Because we trying to hit
Talk
the mall.
about it Friday night. Like, listen.
We trying to hit that mall.
Tomorrow. Just go as soon as they ask. Be like, "Yep, done, cool. Done. Now you can go."
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, as we begin to close out this, I really want you to give our audience a few questions that they can ask in relationship, right? Because you talked about your husband. You talked about, you know, you didn't tell the story of like what you said when you met him.
Oh, yes. So I met him when I was celebrating finishing my bachelor's at Fisk, like go Fisk, go Bulldogs. And I was celebrating with my friend, and he had happened to be outside, and we were walking from one bar to another. Good time, Broadway. But I saw him. I used to work with his friend, and I said hi to his friend because I had recently gotten fired from that job. I used to get fired a lot. But you'll always have another job. You know, like I was young. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go work at FedEx. Like it's not the end of the world. But I was talking to his friend, say, oh, hey, it's been a minute. I ain't talked to you since I got fired. And then I saw him completely stop talking, like literally in the middle of the conversation, because it's just like, I mean, we're friends. I don't care about you. And then I was just like, walked up to my husband at this time, and I was like, you are cute. Put my number in your phone. And he was like, excuse me? And like, so, very, like, my husband is a textbook Southern black man. I always say, like, I basically married like an 80-year-old man. Like, just very much like, he's not terrible, but I can see him being like, first of all, you're not about to approach me as a woman. Yeah. Excuse me. So he's like, excuse me? And I said, you're keeping my number in your phone. He brought his phone out, and it was an Android. I don't like Androids. I don't. And I understand that there are better phones, but so what? And I was just like, I literally said, ugh, all right, how do I... And even it was really hard to press the button. It was really hard to press the buttons. And I was just like, oh my God. All right, here you go. And then I left. We tell the story differently because he always says that, like, and then she like wobbled on her heels because she was clearly drinking. I was drinking, but I have never wobbled on a heel in my life. And I was just like, whatever. And when we were dating for a little bit, I was like, what made you decide to call me? Because that is very not your personality.
How long did it take for him to call?
Oh, the next day.
Okay.
I'm adorable.
Yeah.
You know? Like, and it's also why I didn't take his number. I don't like the responsibility of having to call people. So if you call me, you call me. If you don't, you don't. Like, this is something y'all need to understand. Just go out.
Yeah.
If they don't like you, okay. Some people have bad taste, guys.
Yeah.
You can't teach good taste. Some people just have bad taste. Just assume it's that, you know? And if he didn't call, be like, well, you're lost. I'm delightful. But when we had been dating for a little bit, I was like, why did you call me back? Because that's very much not your personality. And he basically said, I really asked my friend first to see if you were insane. Like, I was just like, hey, what's the deal with this girl? And he was like, oh, she cool. She's fine. But he definitely had to vet me first, because that's not like him at all to be like, you're not about to, excuse me?
Yeah.
Like, I'm the man, you know?
Okay, so then what would you tell for people who are out here dating, or they want relationship, they want partnership, what are 3 questions they should be asking in the dating process?
Oh, okay. I would say 1 question.
Notebooks out. This is the thing. Get your notebook out.
Because I go back and forth between questions and also observing. Like, I would never date anyone who was rude to a server.
Yeah, me too.
Because they have to get right with God. There's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And I also say pay attention to how people act when they're bored or inconvenienced, right? Like, can someone like kick it with you in a traffic jam, and little thing, like from a traffic jam to, like, I don't know, someone spilled coffee on them, like how they respond to that. It's kind of how they're gonna respond to you. Something as simple as, okay, so how do you, like, what defines success, right? Because you can ask people about their goals, but asking someone how they define success, some people will be like family and marriage and stuff like that. Some people will be like promotion. Some people would say something like, I don't know, doing like getting to their personal record with working out. Yeah. But you get to learn more about them and the things that they really like appreciate in life. So, like, how do you define success? I also think it's helpful to ask, like, you know, I go according to, I do the back route, because as a clinician, you know, we can't just, so I might start with the story like, man, today was like real frustrating, like, and it was a really tough day, so I decided to go for a walk, you know, talking about the day. You know, what do you do when you're like really stressed out? Like, how do you manage it? And I think it's just as important to get the answer, to see if they have an answer, or if they don't have an answer, what their coping technique is. If they be like, oh, you know, I'll just play video games for 27 hours. And it's like, right. Yeah. And I ain't got no problem with video games, you know, but there has to be a limit, you know, like, you know. But if you want to see if they have anything else that they incorporate into their day when they're dealing with stress. I also like to see how people answer questions, because sometimes people may not know the answer to something and they may BS you. Because something as simple as, you also have to kind of know who they are as a person, like what do they value. So you're like, oh, I just heard this crazy story about like the when it came down to, like, you know, the justice system, and they're voting on this, and Like, what's your opinion on that? Now, they may not know what you're talking about, so they may ask like, oh, I didn't hear about that. Explain it. That's cool, because you don't have to know the answer to everything. But somebody who will really just be like, oh, because A squared plus B squared is C squared. What are you talking about? It's okay to acknowledge that you don't know the answer to something. So 1, I want to see if you're keeping up with current events. 2, I want to see if you are, what's your opinion on the current events. And 3, I want to see if you're okay with acknowledging the fact that you don't know the answer to something.
Yeah.
Like, because someone who can admit to being wrong or not knowing something, I mean, you're not going to be able to grow with that person.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll just like, well, it's the first date. So, I want to seem like I didn't know something. And it's just like, oh, okay. So so your automatic response is to lie. Good. That's a good thing to know. Like, it's not always about the answers. If they have the answers, it's also like, how do you deal with like not knowing the answer to something? And if they have complete opposite views for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, say if you have non-negotiables, because I think you also have to understand your non-negotiables. Like, how do you feel about someone who doesn't want to have children? Like, do you want children? Do you even know if you do? How do you feel about religion? Like, my mom is Christian and my dad is Buddhist. So, like, it's very different, man. It's very different. My dad's whole side of the family, they're all Buddhists, and we Baptist, Philly, African Methodist Episcopal, like, so they always have this running joke, like, if my mom wants my dad to do something that we know he's not going to do, or he'll ask for something, she'll be like, yeah, I will do that when you say the Sunday prayer. Sure. I will be sure. I'll mow the lawn when you decide to, bring us home in prayer. Because it's never going to happen. Like, because he's Buddhist, right? So, like, that's how they joke when it comes down to it. And even getting to the point of, like, how their relationship with their family is, it's always a really good conversation around the holidays, because it can be something as simple as, like, man, holidays are crazy.
Yeah.
We have all these cool traditions and we do this kind of stuff. What kind of stuff do you do? And it can let you know that, like, oh, we may value family. It can let you know that, like, maybe they're not close to them, how they talk about their family. Because I also, of course, as a psychologist, I pay attention to what you say, but I also pay attention to how you say it.
Yeah.
Like, I think anyone who talks to me about psych or books knows that I love, like, so it's also like the way their face lights up, or if they just like, man, I ain't go home in years, and people are crazy. And one of the biggest red flags is if anybody tells you that every single one of their exes were crazy. Like, every single ex is crazy. Like, because the only common denominator is them. Don't even finish your appetizer. Like, dip. Like, maybe say you go into the bathroom if you don't want to be rude. I mean, it's rude either way, but like, just leave, because it's not possible. It's literally not possible. Like, I've worked with clients like that, and I'm just like, okay. And that's what they say at the beginning, and towards the end, they'll be like, am I the drama? You are, but we're working on that.
Yeah.
That's why you're here, because yes, you are the drama. I'm sure somebody is going to therapy right now because of their encounter with you.
Because of you.
because of you. But that's the ultimate red flag, because the only common denominator is you.
I want to publicly apologize to all of y'all out there.
I barely acknowledge my exes exist, so.
Listen, they asked for a reason.
It was like, I'm sure you're doing fine. I don't really care, but like, I hope that you're
I hope all is well.
Did you see that interview with 50 Cent where he was just like, they were like, can you say anything positive about Ja Rule? And he was like, I mean, he's alive. It's just, I'm like, man, I hope you guys are.
His level of petty, it knows no bounds.
I love his level of petty. I love petty. I can't be petty, so like it's like an occupational hazard. Everybody has a story.
Yeah.
The world is tough, so I really can't be a butt anymore. I miss those days where I could be a jerk, but it's really hard, because it's just like, well, I don't know what they're going through, and it's just like, it sucks. So I like pettiness, because I can't be like that.
Yeah. As we begin to close out, one word you're committed to in this season of your life.
I would probably say humanity. I think everything I try to do is to try to help Black people reclaim their humanity and rehumanize themselves, because the world, has worked to make it seem like we're not human. That's why they have all these atrocities to us. So I would say, like, that's my biggest thing, is trying to get us to not only me helping them humanize ourselves, but like them figuring out ways to advocate for it themselves. Like, perfectionism is the exact opposite of humanity. And I think a lot of times we forget that humans are allowed to rest and have feelings and get stuff wrong, and be accountable and just build together. So I would definitely say humanity.
Humanity. Dr. Raquel Martin, it has been a pleasure.
Thank you.
When IG meets the seat,
Yes.
listen, Vaughn and Powers Talks, another good one for the books. Be sure to share this with someone who needs to up their humanity in this season of their lives. Share this with somebody who needs to be more intentional in raising themselves and their children. Okay? So until next time, you guys, I'm your girl, Brandy Harvey. Eat well. Give a damn. Move your body every single day. Peace.